sessions already, bring the people in one room, lock the door, and then it's pants down really, and we talk about the prejudices, the preconceptions, the misconceptions, and what we basically want to do is to create an understanding, a mutual understanding for the other side. If we want our music synced, used in audiovisual media, I think it takes a basic understanding, not technically how to get there, but to understand what the other side needs, what the other side means when they send out briefs, when they want music, when they're looking for music. Then, of course, the other way around, advertising, they don't have a clue about what is going on outside, how music is made. They don't have a clue of the value of music, about where music comes from, and therefore they can't understand that sometimes it takes longer than 5 minutes to get music cleared or to get music sent from one place to the other. In film, it's even more complex. It's the relationship between the director and the music supervisor and the composer is quite a complex one. And for the film side to understand how the music speaks, to find a common language is really important. This is what we try to do in these workshops. We've done some 15, more than 15 over the years in some 15 countries as well. The misunderstanding is very often that people think we are a brokering session, that we help them to sell their music. We help you to understand the other side, not to sell. The selling will be up to you, to your networking, and to your professionalization generally. We did a workshop here. It was well prepared. I came here last year, as I said, to get a feeling for the lay of the land, the musical and synth landscape, and then we decided to do the workshop here. It turned out to be quite challenging, really, because music landscapes are different, and they're developed in a different way. We even struggle to define the local landscape as a landscape. It's very scattered with individual artists, with individual people and companies active more or less on the landscape, but you don't have a scene, you don't have collective music understanding, the same as there is no collective understanding of an advertising industry or a film industry locally. So it turned out to be really difficult to reach people from that sector in the first place. We decided to change the setup of that workshop, therefore, a little bit, and say you can't get synth, you can't expect to be accepted by the synth industry if you don't have a basic level of professionalization on the music side. So we divided the workshop into two parts. One part was let's say the mentoring, the professionalization part in the morning, and the afternoon was more about the collaboration between those industries. And rather than relying on non-existing or difficult to reach local experts from the audiovisual side, we brought in some friends and experts from abroad. To my left, Frederick Nederman from Hamburg, is a publisher for prolific German independent publishing company Freiburg. Over there from the UK, Gary Belmonte, artist, manager, publisher, and partner in Europe and Synch as well. And probably the most experienced manager in the Macedonian music landscape,
I've learned a lot from you about how things are going on here. The session, or maybe I can ask you to introduce yourself, how you came into doing this and your background. Frederick, you've been in publishing for some 20 years, longer?
Hello, I'm Frederick. I'm from Hamburg. I'm very happy to be here. It's my first time in Macedonia, and it's a really beautiful country, which I saw yesterday when I traveled around a little bit worked very nice. The music publishing, I founded as a performing artist and songwriter, I founded my own publishing company back in 1994. And as I haven't any success as an artist, I went further into the publishing and worked for others. And since more than 50 years, I'm working for Freibank Music Publishing in Hamburg. This is an independent publishing company founded by artists as well. It started with the copyrights of the Einstürzende Neubauten, which is a industrial avant-garde band from the 80s from Berlin, Hamburg, and then went on with the techno scene in Germany and the upcoming hip-hop scene in Germany. And then it started with getting catalogs from abroad, like catalogs from the UK or from France that we took care of in Germany. And all that brought us into the sync business, of course, because we had a broad variety of songs and genres, and people were interested in this kind of music. And as this is a business of trust and of person relationships, it was very easy for the agencies and production companies to get in touch with us and talk directly to us and get music that can be licensed, which means the rights are clear and everyone approved the usage. And so we built up a quite big network nationally and internationally for our repertoire and for the repertoire we represent in Germany. So it was very interesting for me to come over to Macedonia and to learn about your landscape, as it is, as Marcus already said, totally different to how we work in Germany with collecting societies and stuff like that, which is working more or less quite properly. And so we have a quite broad network of sub-publishers in important territories for us. And Eastern Europe is one of our important territories as well. But Macedonia isn't part of this sub-publishing network so far, which is a pity. And I hope this will be changed somehow in the near future. So that's about me.
Yeah, thanks. Emma, maybe, or Daryl, you go first.
Okay, yeah.
It's not the first session that we're doing together, but we have a whole range of topics that we've addressed all over Europe, but we haven't done a workshop together yet. This was our first.
This was our first, yeah.
Yeah. Some of your background for the people in the room.
Yeah, hi, I'm Daryl Bramonti from the UK. I've been working in music since I was 16. I spent many years with Depeche Mode in various roles, many years with The Cure in various roles. I set up my management company 20 years ago, and I was managing bands and songwriters, and that's when I become particularly interested in publishing. In 2014, I was asked to run the UK office of Schubert Music, a big European publishing company. And in 2022, I left and set up on my own Arcangelo Music as a publisher, sub-published worldwide by BMG, and I'm building my roster there. As Marcus said, I'm also part of Europe in Synch. I was a co-founder. I stepped away and they invited me back as an ambassador. I've recently set up a company called Connected Rights, which is to collect neighbouring rights, which is collecting performer income internationally. Marcus and I have also set up an initiative called Rampart, which is to travel to conferences and to advise music professionals on what their rights are, how to secure them, register them, monetize them. So that's new, but it very much ties in with what we're talking about here. And I also play in a couple of bands myself. Permafrost, from the other guys are from Norway, and Hence, my partner, is from Denmark. So I think that's everything.
It's not everything, but
The short version.
Emma, with you, I would always assume that everyone in Macedonia knows you at least, but for the benefit of the international guests, maybe you want to introduce yourself as well.
I try to stay in the shadows. Hi, I'm Emil. I'm from Skopje, Macedonia. I spent the last 3 decades in the music industry. At first as a radio and club DJ, and after a while I started producing my own music, which led me somehow to Synch. I realized that there is this thing called Synch, where you can synchronize your stuff to TV shows, films, video games, advertising campaigns, and I started building a label to release my own music. Then the next step came when I started receiving some great demos from other artists. Then the label expanded. I started building a second Synch-focused catalog of music, and in parallel building a great network of contacts in the film and advertising industry. So I started going to conferences, meeting music supervisors, trying to prove ourselves that we can be a reliable partner even though we come from Macedonia. And somehow 3 decades later, we are considered a primary choice for many advertising companies and supervisors who send their briefs to us and ask us to provide some suggestions for the projects they are working on. And here we are. We are trying to educate the artists locally and also globally when I go to these conferences, and to open, hopefully, the eyes of the artists that there is this whole field which could be beneficial not only on the financial level, but also could really make a difference in their careers, because a successful Synch could kickstart a brand new artist career. Because if their music is placed in a popular TV show or an advertising campaign, then everyone will Shazam it and try to learn who this amazing artist is. So I probably served as an intro to what we are going to talk next. And
exactly. Thank you very much. Before we continue at this point, I'd like to know who you are. Who is from Macedonia in the room? It's not a lot, but thanks for attending. It's great to have you here. Maybe it is a bit of a reflection of what the conference is about or what it is representing. So I assume the rest of you are international guests of the conference. Who works in the sync field? Also not a lot, but it's great to see your interest in the field. And please, not just you, but everyone, do feel free to jump in with questions, with remarks, with any info you want to contribute. This panel is supposed to be about the findings of the workshop that we had. And when you're describing what sync is and what sync can be for an artist, of course you're describing an ideal situation based on an educated, professionalized landscape where the structures are more or less in order. There's a professional mindset on behalf of the creative side of the artist, but also professional mindset when it comes to roles like publishing, label, and of course the counterparts in the audiovisual side. When we started speaking about that in Macedonia, you were quite sober in remarking, don't expect this from our landscape here. We don't have, as I said earlier, we don't have the educated music side as such in general, and we don't have a homogeneous audiovisual industry in the country. I understand that, therefore, you. Okay, let's quickly hear about that status that we are facing here in the country. Copyrights, the PRO, the Local Collection Society, and how they handle copyrights, or how composers handle copyrights in the country.
Well, first of all, I'm very sad to say this, but there's the music industry in Macedonia is non-existent, at least not in an organized professional way. So we have PRO, local PRO, which is a structure that is not doing its job very well, let's put it mildly. They just continued what was done by the same titled PRO in former Yugoslavia. It's called ZAMP. But when I started up as an artist, when I tried to sign a deal with a PRO to protect my rights, I did a little research, and from my older colleagues who were making music for decades, some of them were 17 years old, and they told me it might not be a very good idea to sign with ZAMP. And that's why I started to research my other options and realized that as a foreign artist I could join BMI or PRS. So that's why I went with BMI, and at that moment I stopped caring. I know it is a bad thing to say because I live here, I have my company here, my company is registered in Macedonia, I pay my taxes here, but when it comes to protecting the music rights, it is not the best place to go to.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm afraid I cannot speak a lot about the local landscape because I never really bothered to care about the local landscape. That's how my company was founded. Our aim was always the international market, because everything is globalized. We have this amazing thing called internet. The TV shows are made in different parts of the world, and they're streamed everywhere. So it really doesn't matter where you're coming from. So when it comes up to protecting your rights, then it's probably best to pick a reliable partner, not necessarily from your own country, and then do your thing, because that's how things are here.
Yeah, as you agree, it's quite sobering, and it's not a good picture. You avoid the confrontation by just going around it and setting up internationally, which of course isn't it's a professional solution for you, but it's not a professional.
It's not ideal because there's tax withholding. BMI withholds 30% tax.
Yeah.
But it's better to get 70% of something.
Than zero of nothing.
100% of zero.
Yeah, that's true, and still it doesn't contribute to solving the situation, and the fact that we don't have like a broader music landscape. Of course, when we organized the workshop, we didn't really know what to expect, how many people would apply for the workshop. A few days before the session, we had 0 applications. Then PIN, thankfully, really made an extra effort and tried to get people in, tried to get people interested, phoning up people individually, really trying to interest them. This is for you as an artist, this is for you as an audiovisual side.
And it was really interesting to see the people that showed up.
That was the amazing thing. We had 22 applications in the end when we arrived here on Tuesday. Still, PIN said, "Be careful. The local mindset can be that no one will turn up in the end." Positively, and let's not talk about the people who didn't turn up. Let's talk about those who did. We had, was it 6? Were you 6 people? 6 people. Scattered from all ranges of the music side and with a film background, because we also changed the location of the workshop from doing it here or in the PIN headquarters. We went to the Europa Prima Film University. We had some young film students who also had a grasp of how to use music if they wanted to use music for their work. So we had 6 people there, and I would say, and I think I speak for all of us, we were absolutely amazed by the range, by the capacity, by the dedication, by the interest in the subject, in spite of those challenges that the local landscape is facing.
If you allow me, the problems are systematic.
Yeah.
So they could have probably been solved on an earlier level, on a university level, let's say. For example, when at the music university, they should teach copyright. They should teach this new areas of the music industry that appeared, like they do on the Berkeley school.
Yeah.
For example, in Berkeley, Valencia, I was there a couple of times. They invite music supervisors to meet with the students and to give them a first-hand experience at the Synch world. So they start to realize that they should branch out. They should not only focus on their music, but there is the business side too.
I can assure you that this is not a Macedonian problem, because we were traveling and going to all those countries. I totally agree. It's a no-brainer. You would think that in every film academy, first semester curriculum should say every one of you wants to use music in their films. This is how you do it basically, and if you want to advance in it, there's further courses and you can get there and get knowledge of the fact. Daryl, you want to jump in?
Thank you. I just wanted to reiterate what you guys were saying, is that Europe in Sync was set up because we noticed a disconnect between all of the actors involved in Sync. So you've got rights holders, ad agencies, music supervisors, and we were speaking to them, and they were all saying that they were having trouble getting a strong dialogue with each other. And when we came to the workshop on Wednesday, I didn't really see it as a really such a disappointing thing, because it reinforced the notion that what we are doing with Europe in Sync is absolutely essential, that people are still not turning up, even though they say that they want to have the dialogue. And the most optimistic thing was, as Marcus said, is there were 6 students from the university. That's all we had. Well, one turned up a bit later, but there were 5, and there was a producer guy here, an animator, a photographer, a sound engineer, and I can't remember the other one. I feel that I got as much from them as they said they got from us, because the enthusiasm, the intellect, that they were so articulate and so enthusiastic. And I spoke to a couple of the boys afterwards, and they said that they feel that their generation is the one that's going to have to change it, rather than distancing themselves from the local societies or whatever, is to join them and lobby them from within. And that message was coming from them as much as it was coming from us. And we found it really inspiring. I told Marcus and Frederick it was one of the most enjoyable things I've done of this nature. And I really think that there's a groundswell of these people that really want to make a change. And you said yourself that you've realized more recently that the business side, the right side, has to be addressed as much as the creative side. And that, if you're already thinking that is actually a really optimistic point. And I think that things they are lacking, as Emil said, in Macedonia and perhaps in the wider region, but it definitely feels like people want the change, and it's going to come from within.
And I think it was even interesting to see that people who already worked abroad, like they went to the US and have been making music there, came back to Macedonia to work here because this is their home, and they want to build something here and meet people and get structures into the system here, or build some kind of landscape. And this was really impressive for me to see that you are in a perfectly working landscape like the USA for music and synths and everything, and you come back and say, no, I'm here, I'm living here, and I want to make my deals from here, either like you do it, or like setting something up or changing things. This was really, really impressive, I think.
Yeah, totally. And that one of the things that really amazed us, like we coming to in a situation like that, it's very difficult with our backgrounds to not come across as patronizing. To here we are, the international guys, and we show you how it works, and you're in your poor country, just listen up, and after that you'll be clever. To be faced with that mindset that we had in the room, that was not. We felt on eye level basically, and to see that these young professionals are, the age bracket that we had in the room was 18 to 23. 18 to 23. It's like we are 3 times that age, some of us, and or double the age, but still it's fantastic, and we haven't reached just 6 people. We have reached an amazing 6 people, and hopefully, like with the feedback that we're getting from you, please jump in if you want to say something about that. We're speaking about you here in the first place, but that was really great to have you here. And as Daryl said, going home with the understanding that we may have contributed something to your professional work is really great. You want to say something? Can I give you the mic?
I think everything you're saying is true. The landscape here definitely isn't where it's supposed to be. But as you said, we're the generation that's gonna fix that has to fix that. But I think the first step to that is these conferences, learning from people that have went through those things. And I think it's important that young artists like us learn from people like you. So, yeah.
Thanks very much. It's not just learning from us. We can only do as much as like be in such a workshop, but especially to create a we feeling rather than a me feeling amongst you, that you find out that you are not alone in the situation, to find out that you can network locally, regionally, and there is not a problem. They should come quite normally, as Emil shows, to reach out internationally as well. It's great to have a conference like this in your country, but as you said, there's so many people who are not even aware of PIN. It happens once a year. People may find out from friends or the internet or whatever that is happening. Still, it takes an extra effort to go there. You say it's a kind of a mindset to make that step to do I care or do I not care? And this is what sets you apart professionally already. But realizing that you're not alone in that field, that you can collaborate within your own musical or artistic sector, and that it is not impossible to reach out to the audiovisual side if you are persistent and not too shy to do that. When we spoke about the collaboration with film institutes, for instance, in other workshops internationally, I always come back to the example in Ljubljana in Slovenia, where we have the film school literally next door to the music academy. You have young filmmakers who have to make like a film project every year, every semester, for which they need music. But music is, as we said, not part of their curriculum, so they are struggling to find out how to do it, and everyone is more DIY and learning by error than by proper education. And next door you have a school full of composers who want and love to work in the film sector, would love to do love to be the next Hans Zimmer or whatever, but find their music synchronized to film. No one has ever had the idea to just go next door, put like their address on the blackboard and say, young filmmaker looking for composers, newcomers welcome, let's do this together, and the other way around. It's a no-brainer. And when we spoke to professors, we spoke to deans of the university, and said, yes, since you mention it, you're quite right, but we have done this forever, so we're not going to change it now just because you come up with this crazy idea of collaboration. So it takes more than just a panel, more than just a workshop to go somewhere and then think you've changed the world. What we're doing has some idealistic aspect as well. Sometimes I say when people are like, why are you doing this? I say we're idealistic professionals or professional idealists. I think that's what maybe sets us apart from the typical music industry executive, being just in management and doing a 9-to-5 job in that matter.
Yeah, just want to say, I think this is very important to encourage people to communicate. This is a really important part of this whole thing. And for the business side, we're talking about some structures that exist right now and existed for some time, but the business is changing so fast, and everything is changing. And so for us, it's very interesting to see different approaches, how things go, how people get connected, and how people get music into films, because this will change all the time. Years ago, it wasn't like the first thing songwriters demanded from a publisher to take care of things. Now there is a media research from Mark Mulligan saying this is like, I think more than 60% just demand from the music publisher to take care of the things for the artist. And I'd say 30 years ago it was just I need an advance from a publisher, and the rest is no idea. But this is what is important. So this is changing all the time, and so to get the communication between the different players and to learn from the structures in different territories, how they work with the rights they have, how they place it, and how this is collected is extremely interesting and important, and will change all the time.
We see this in the 3.5 years of the current European Sync project as well. When we started out, we started in some, let's say, well-structured territories, but very soon found out that they are different in different territories. But even over the course of 3.5 years, you could see the requirements changing, the demands changing, the level of professionalization changing from territory to territory, but also over the time. And for every territory, there's different maybe priorities, how you approach those challenges individually. First and foremost, it takes people to address them, not just a protocol, not just one workshop. Maybe one workshop can be a great starting point or a catalyst for something like that, but it takes more than that. And looking at an institution like PIN, looking at local, at regional export offices, for instance, at music mentoring institutions like Sigic in Slovenia, Music Estonia, and there's small organizations in every country reaching out. You've had people from Music Cities Europe on the panel prior to this. It's all part of sensing that this can only survive if we collaborate and if we see this in a more holistic approach. So going out, I mean, just around the problem and working internationally is not a bad example. It's one way of showing that networking is the key to everything.
I'm glad you mentioned Mark Mulligan. He's a good friend of mine. And another thing he says very frequently is there is an abundance of choice nowadays in music. So that is probably one of the major changes in the musical landscape, because 1 million of songs are delivered to DSPs every day.
Yeah.
That's 1 million of songs delivered to DSPs. Imagine that. So it creates an additional noise. Of course, 95% of those are rubbish, but they make it even harder for the good ones to pop up. Yeah. And in that kind of landscape, especially in smaller areas like ours, probably it's up to a few crazy individuals who would be willing to go with their head against the wall until a success happens, yeah. And then it opens everyone else's eyes. For example, only 7% of artists on our label are from Macedonia. the number of demos arriving from Macedonia is that small. And we pick only the best, so that's how it is. But this year we had a placement for one of our artists who is a Macedonian composer in Marvel's series Daredevil Born Again. And suddenly it was in the media, and suddenly there is a flood of demos arriving from bedroom producers in Macedonia saying, hey, I also make music, would you like to hear it?
Yeah.
So it kind of opens their eyes and make them realize there are these areas they probably don't know or don't care about.
I totally agree. We had the same phenomenon with Europe and Synch in the beginning. You can talk about things as much as you want. You can have theories and you can read about it. When people believe it or won't believe it or are interested or not interested, but the moment you create a success story, the moment you create a case study of substance where something is going on, where you have something to talk about, that's the good thing. If out of this conference, out of I don't know if George is still here, Athens Music Week, one of those dedicated small music conferences in Europe as well. It's such an effort to put on a conference like this. If one artist, one sync, one new business perspective comes out of a session like this, out of a conference like this, it is worth the effort, because that is spreading, that is showing and proving that these things can happen, and this will make all these efforts, this traveling, this coming, this overcoming obstacles and stuff worthwhile, and doing something, especially in a small scale. So that moment it's 1% and not nothing, and that will make ripples on in the surface. I don't know if I would like to ask the audience, like the international guests especially, do you have similar experiences from your countries, from your line of work that you would like to contribute? Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So my name is Nikos Vogiatzakis. I'm a guitarist and composer and a music producer, and I'm here on behalf of Greece's new music export office, Music from Greece. You guys, I think you met my colleague Angeliki a couple of years ago. And the landscape in Greece is very, very similar to what Emil described. The rights management is a mess. Artists are completely uneducated as to how they can distribute their music or use the music or sync to the music. And we really feel that we need to find ways to educate the artists first, because unfortunately the music scene in those smaller countries where the music business is, like the money that goes around is not very much, the music scene is dying. There's no physical copies anymore to be sold. Streaming doesn't really produce any revenues for those small artists. And I think that sync is a very good way for an artist to make some profit and to return money back to his art and to keep him going. Because my unfortunate experience is over the past years, I've seen many young artists, very promising kids, that they start with hopes and dreams, and they produce music, and as soon as reality knocks on their door and the first bills arrive, and maybe a kid arrives a bit later, and then they just abandon everything and they find a like 9-to-5 job, and that's it. And I've seen many people, many more than I would have liked to see, get lost like that. So what I'm going to say is that I really appreciate what you guys are doing with Europe in Sync and all the. Unfortunately, I couldn't be here Wednesday, or I would have signed up. But I think that education is the number one key. We need to find ways to spread the word. As you said, export office is a good portal or institutions like PIN. And I honestly think that the younger generation should step up because these are the people that now have more influence than us. I mean, we can guide them and we can advise, but these are the people that are going to make it happen, I think. So.
Yeah, thanks very much. Going to Greece has always been a pleasure for us, because to see that mindset from, I'm repeating myself, it's a few people who are dedicated enough to start working in that field. We met Liahai, we met Angeliki, to see what effort it takes to work with the bureaucracy, to work against obstacles, to work against prejudices, even within their own music landscape, where you have, like, especially, like, let's say, more senior artists who say, well, it's been so bad for decades, how can it be better anyway? So I don't care, I won't get any money in my life anyway. At least you have two PROs rather than one, and they try to
That was, I'm sorry to interrupt, but,
No.
but there was a huge scandal like 10 years ago with
Yeah.
a single PRO that all existed, and that, it took a huge scandal and loads of money and loads of rights lost
yeah,
for the landscape to at least, you know,
yeah.
change.
It's great to see that this can be changed and that
It
it's
can,
changing
it can, yeah.
with new people, that there will be some functionality again,
Yeah.
which I really love about Greece. To see we have our catalog of self-published in Greece as well, and since a few years there are some revenues coming.
Yes.
And this is because the structures are rebuilt and new people are there, and they know they're working in an international environment. You cannot just do their own thing and keep it for themselves.
Yeah.
That's great. That's really great.
It's fantastic, but I can see from like firsthand when speaking with Greece artists, it takes such an effort to get over that trauma, especially what you described about, like, imagine, I don't know if every one of you is aware of what happened in Greece some 10 years ago, people who owned the PRO, like the whole system, who were running the whole system, they took the complete money and ran away, and left the rights lying on the desk and disappeared, and it was put under the surveillance of the Ministry of Finance.
Yes.
I think so.
They
You
left, they moved their base of operation to Cyprus, so they escaped
Yeah.
finance control, basically.
yeah, it's crazy. So at that time, I had to do a sync for a Greek song, and I had to find someone in the Ministry of Finance who spoke English, and who was knowledgeable about those things, and to do a contract with them was a little bit of an adventure. But I think it's normal if artists are traumatized by a situation. Of course they don't trust the system anymore.
Yes.
Why should they trust the system? I think it's the job of the system to go ahead and prove that they are trustworthy, and that takes time.
To that extent, I think that both the PROs in Greece now are doing the best they can,
Yeah,
and we, from our side, are doing the best to advocate for them, like to, you know, push artists, register your work. You know, you only have something to win out of that. You don't have anything to lose, really. It's not to the benefit of anyone to not have, you know, your catalog registered to the PRO.
yeah.
Still, we get pushback from artists.
Yeah.
Still, there are artists that basically they don't bother. It's not as if they don't want to, but they can't bother. Like, oh, I'm not going to go into that drama because I just don't have anything to do.
That's the mindset again.
Yeah, and also on Wednesday, another important point is it's not like the students turned up and then we gave them some advice and then a light bulb went off and they were like, oh, maybe we should be more proactive and enthusiastic. I felt that they came there already with that mindset. That's why they were there, because they wanted, and I think that's a really important distinction, is that the energy is already there. But is there, I should ask you, Emil, is there any form of Macedonian export office or music association?
There is none at the moment, but a couple of my friends are trying to build one and to get it properly registered and get the backing from the politicians, obviously. And it takes some time, but I believe that it will be done very soon.
Yeah, I think that could be an important key. Like, thank you so much for your contribution, because exactly that educational thing, and you're speaking sitting right next to an artist from here who benefits from education, but who has also learned, first of all, to educate himself, because there's nothing else around. But it takes people like Angeliki and you to take up the baton and say, we have to start and organize something. And as you say, if there's something going on here in the country, if there's 2-3 people getting together and saying, fuck it, we'll do it, and then take it from there. I wonder where we are next year this time. Maybe there's an introduction of a new export office right next door for you, and do something.
I would rather stay within my field, something that I know what I'm doing. You know? We are a label, a sync agency, and that's enough.
We have a volunteer for an export office.
I have a direct question. This is Ahmetcan from Istanbul, Turkey. Also a very corrupted country for music and everything. But on the other hand, it's bigger. It's a big industry, but a weird industry, not super connected to the rest of the world. And I'm representing an indie label, and I'm also a manager. I do have a record company for 5 years, and I was lucky. One of my artists that I was managing got super big. She became almost pop star in Turkey. She has 5 million monthly listeners. So but I was lucky. So my question is very basic. For any indie artist or for any indie label, what would you suggest in terms of sync? I know that, as you mentioned, like 90% of production is out of our reach. You know, like it's out of what we can perceive. But on the other hand, if as an indie label or artist, this can be from UK, Turkey, France, and so on, to get some more visibility, to pitch it to a Netflix or to a documentary, or I don't know, to get some visibility. I think Marcus mentioned that the things are changing very fast. 3 years before it was something else, maybe 5 years later it will be that. But to create a strategy, what would you suggest, especially for the indies, label artists, this and that, to have a strategy for sync especially? The rest of the problems, you know, like the corruption and this and that, it will take time, and hopefully, luckily, in maybe 20 years, we will push hard and educate ourselves. And even majors have problem, you know, even majors are licensing probably, I don't know, maybe just 10% of their catalog, so that's it.
Yeah. And they license passively because they have the hits anyway, so they can just wait for the phone to ring.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. So is there a real strategy? Is it a little bit by chance we do our best and then wait? Probably it is like this, but we'd like to know your approach about it.
Yeah.
And how you see it for future and for now.
Yeah, thanks for the question. I don't think we can provide a recipe because there's no manual. But
I could try to give an answer for an artist or a label or even a publisher. The best thing would be to go to conferences, music conferences, especially conferences that have a strong focus on sync. Do your homework, see who is invited. If there are music supervisors, or even better, if there are sync agents invited, those are the conferences you would like to attend and to try to establish some working relationships with them. Because if you start cold mailing music supervisors, it leads to nothing, because they only work with their
trusted
partners, and they simply cannot accept hundreds of emails for one cue in a TV show. So it is best to find a reliable sync agent or sync agency. Some publishers have their own in-house sync agents. Some publishers hire external sync agencies. So those would be the most logical approaches.
I see. So actually, a publisher and a sync agency they can be in the same company, but it's two different.
Not necessarily, yeah. For example, we are a label and a sync agency. We are not a publisher.
Okay.
And we are a publisher, but not a sync agency.
Okay.
But they all qualified as what we call the trusted partners. And it all comes down, and that may be the boring part of it, but first of all, you have to have your ducks in a row. You have to have your rights in order. Without the rights in order, without knowing every single percentage share of the works that we are talking about, every ownership, rights ownership in a recording and in a copyright, without that, please don't go out and offer this stuff to anyone, because you fail once, because you need 100% cleared. If you fail once, if that backfires on you and someone says, well, someone comes up and you cleared 95%, and then the old drummer turns up and says, wait a minute, this is my track, and the damage you do with a lawsuit with that is worse than everything that can happen. It's the boring part. It's first the basics, and then
you will be blacklisted for life.
yeah, and also is thanks for saying that, Emil. But it's a continuous thing. You cannot expect to work in that field, do as you do, like write a few emails and then wait for the phone to ring. You have to constantly network and constantly, let's realistically say, play the lottery and be there and wait for the right instance. Especially, like, let's say, for a Turkish catalog outside Turkey, it's difficult. Let's say one of 500 sync opportunities, or one of 1,000 sync opportunities will be about that foreign catalog. But then you have to be there, and the sync agent, the supervisor, maybe the producer must say, wait a minute, there was this label from Istanbul, there was this publisher that I met at the conference last month or something like that, I'm going to call them. So always be ready, always be prepared, and always reach out. It's a continuous process. People do this as a full-time job, so it's difficult for someone who works in booking, in artist management, does the admin all day, to do sync as well. Maybe it's good to find someone who concentrates on sync and works this. There's no promises in that field. As a sync agent or music supervisor, I'm surprised every day where sync requests come from, how people find the music, or how people find me to find the music. And no two copyrights, no two sync rights are the same as well. So it's a matter of communication, and always be prepared and professionalize. And that's a very general way to put it. Maybe it's not satisfying. Like there is no further recipe how to get there. There's no open sesame formula. But thank you very much for the question. Yeah.
Can I just have the yeah? I thought something that you said, Marcus, earlier about it's very important when you go into territories not to appear patronising, to say, oh, you're doing it wrong. It's there to assist and to have a dialogue. And I've been to many of these type of conferences in the Nordics, Norway and Denmark in particular. And I found I was talking to artists about their publishing, and there seemed to be the Nordics for me has always been very much ahead of the curve, very structured and organised. And there seemed to be a bad reputation for publishers. I don't know what happened, but people suggested maybe some of the bigger publishers signed stuff and, to get market share and didn't do so much with it. An artist was saying to me, well, why do I need a publisher? I'm with Tonode, or in Norway, that's the collection society for the authors. And then I would have to patiently explain to them the difference between a collection society and a publisher without seeming like I was doing a sales pitch to them. And so it's not just this country or this region. There's all kinds of different misunderstandings in all kinds of territories. And I was really surprised by that about the Nordics. And that's why I think that it was important for me to explain and to sort of answer your question. Obviously, as a publisher, I'm going to say this, but to have partners on board, because, you know, if people aren't, that they can be with their collection society, but if they're not registering properly and they're not chasing it up and they're not looking for it, the collection society isn't going to come to them and say, well, this is wrong and you're missing out on revenue, and nor should they, because it's not their job to be proactive in working with the artist about that. So I think it's about having trusted partners who can give you the reach internationally that you're looking for.
And also, maybe that's clear, but we should add, your work starts at your own doorstep. Before you can expect a sync coming in from Germany or from any other country, have it sync ready at home, and maybe you want to start working your home territory, and there's a sync industry there, there's a film industry, there's an advertising industry. The general approach is always the same. Maybe the mindset is different, maybe the cultures are different or something, but the general way how this works is always the same. And if you have 10 syncs in your own territory under your belt or something, you can go to your sub-publisher, or you can find sub-publishers who represent your catalogs in other territories and say, look, maybe it sounds foreign or exotic to you, but this is our catalog, and we've already got 10 syncs, and we have the feeling that you could be the partner who can takes it to the next level. So collect coins, collect bonus points and things that speak for you. And that doesn't just go for you, that goes for everyone and all of us. It's you have to start somewhere, and this is usually right.
Partnership is the answer in a nutshell.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's a great question. This is what we do the workshops about. This is what we have these sessions about, and hopefully it's not boring for people always hear the same basic formula, and rather go home and do something about it and make a change. How are we with time, by the way? I hope we're not...
2:47.
So I think we're... Are there any more questions?
There have been excellent contributions, I have to say.
There's another...
You mentioned sync conferences. Is there any you would suggest?
I wouldn't like to suggest specific conferences, but I would focus on these smaller boutique conferences. I guess that's why Medium is not being held anymore, because on those fair-like conferences, you can't make a proper conversation. The magic happens on the coffee breaks. So go to smaller conferences where there are supervisors and sync agents, and try to not ambush them, be polite, be prepared, do your homework, have a stick to share probably, or a link, Disco link, and who knows?
and we're not there is no sync conference, but there's music conference with a sync leaning. That's the important.
There are sync conferences, especially in the States. There are quite a few. And there is in Romania, yes, from last year, there is a Romanian one called Think About It.
Yeah,
that would be a good choice in Europe.
Exactly. Thanks for bringing that up. One of our experts who couldn't be here today was Andra Vasile from Romania, and she is the founder of a local conference called Think About It. First edition was early this year, and they have grown out of a European project as well, and they are preparing edition number 2, which should be probably won't be out before the end of next year or early 2027. But this is particularly a sync conference, and I think it's the only sync conference in Europe. But there are some music conferences who have more sync leanings, some are more, like, let's say, life orientated and stuff like that. Check out the websites of the conference, you will see it immediately, and go ahead and network. That's the place to be, and as you say quite correctly, the coffee breaks.
Are you from the UK? What's your endeavour? Are you an artist?
Yeah, Mr. Trick. I was DJing.
Oh, you're Mr. Trick. I missed the trick by not seeing you. I'm sorry. It was too late for me. Yeah.
First time our band's here, but we only got the go-ahead 7 weeks before. So
Right.
we applied for PRS funding.
Right.
They needed APs. So I'm just their DJ for sending my band.
Oh, brilliant. Okay. Well, there are, like Marcus said, it doesn't have to be a Synch conference. There are conferences that like Spot in Denmark, in Aarhus, where you can go there and sign up for Meet the Supervisors, and then it's like speed dating. You get 5 minutes, they ring a bell, and then you do your pitch. So, and others. But if you want to have a chat afterwards, and I can make some suggestions to you, yeah, brilliant. Oh, we got another question here.
Also, I'd like to remind, there must be Guild of Music Supervisors in UK, right?
Yeah, that's a UK branch.
So maybe he can be a member or friend of the guild.
No, the guild have different membership programs, and they have different educational programs. So you can apply as a member in one of their sections, and I'm currently speaking with them. They are reaching out to continental Europe because they are they come from the States. The European headquarters is in the UK, and they haven't really bothered to look at continental Europe so far. They are starting doing that slowly.
From the independent companies organization in the UK, they have the Synch Summit each year as well, which is, I think, even online, so you can take part, learn, and have like meetings with supervisors there as well from your country, which is quite nice. I think it's called just a Synch Summit by the Independent Music Industries Association. How is it called in the UK, Daryl? Okay, but then it's
Oh, and anywhere you go, Mr. Trick, just look out for Synch drinks, because it normally involves booze, and you'll find them there definitely. Right.
As someone in the Romanian workshop that we did called it, the beer factor is AIM-Sync.
AIM, yeah.
To wrap it up and bring it back to Macedonia, because this is where we are. But thanks, but thanks for your interest, and it's great that you're here. Is Login still in the room? He was here shortly. I think the most obvious first institution to look at and to appeal to here, at least for us, would be like after the session we give feedback, is PIN knows the local landscape inside out. They have the offices, they have great people working there, they have an excellent mindset, and they have the independent spirit and the dedication. What we will do is speak with them and speak about our findings there, and maybe something will come out of it. Maybe there's an open door, maybe someone who is approachable on a regular basis for young local professionals, to make this as a first step. And at the same time, I'd like to appeal to the young professionals. Meet up, every single one of you. 1 and 1 is 2, and another one is 3. So organize yourself, get together, work together, and make yourselves heard. Maybe it's a long way, it's easy to say for me, but from what we saw in our workshop, the mindset is there, and it would be great to see some results of that. Thank you here on the panel, Daryl, Emil, Frederick. It's been a great ride on this tour, and thank you all for
of you.
Your interest.
And we have to give a round of applause to our moderator, Marcus. Yeah.
Thank you.
Because they never get recognised.
What's your name? Nikos. Lovely to meet you, yeah. So I didn't see you in Athens last year.
No, I couldn't make it, no.
Right.
I was also touring in
How are you?
I'm a guitarist, yeah.
Oh, right, excellent.
I wear
many hats.
Yeah, but the contributions from you and the producer guy, the Turkish guy, the British guy, is brilliant. Because not often when you sort of at the end, you ask questions and then everyone goes into their
They
shell.
have it down.
But I think it was because it was smaller and there didn't seem to be no barrier between us. So I think that people, I think people, because I just felt like I was chatting to people like, and it was amazing to get in the room.
I think that Synch is slowly becoming a thing for every artist.
Yeah.
They are finding out about that.
Yeah.
With the boom of the streaming platforms, new TV shows all the time.
Absolutely, and I think because the streaming platforms, TV, I mean, music, they're not beholden to advertisers. They're subscriptions, so they're much more expansive in what they're looking for. They're much more experimental. I've been asked to find some 1930s Turkish funk. This was a few years ago, and they were Romanian folk.
By the way, they made some really nice fun in Turkey at the
Yeah,
time.
I got a track from Pelican Publishing. I found it from them. And another request was from Romanian folk music. It had to be live because it was a scene in the bar where you didn't see the band, but you heard them. So it had to be live. Yeah.